This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, pet lovers. Welcome to Best Bets for Pets. I'm your show host, Michelle Fern. My guests today have developed tests, at-home tests, that you can do on your dog or cat in order to find if your dog or cat is fine, if their gut health is fine, if their immunity is good. So I can't wait for you to meet her. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Kitty Poo Club reinvented the litter box. No more scrubbing that stinky plastic tray. Or worrying, oh my God, do my guests smell that? No cleaning, no scrubbing, no more stink. You are going to love it. Your cats are going to love it. Go to kittypooclub.com and when you order, save 30% on your first auto ship. Visit kittypooclub.com, use code MEOW30 at checkout, and join the club, the Kitty Poo Club.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Betsy Redmond from Innovative Pet Lab. She is the Chief Science Officer. Welcome, Betsy.
Thanks.
So tell us, what is Innovative Pet Lab?
It is a lab that does at home. You do it at the test at home. You can get it directly from us or some vets sell it. And we get poop and then you collect the poop and then you send it in and we test it for different markers for inflammation or intestinal permeability. And then we get you the results and you'll know, like, everything you do for your pet, is it right? Are they have good gut health? Or are there things you might want to tweak? Because sometimes gut health may be kind of silent, have silent issues you don't know about till more serious things develop. We were a poop test company.
Okay, so everything's at home these days, which is good because, why not if you could do it at home? I love the idea of at-home testing, and especially for cats, because cats are a challenge, for one. They're a challenge to get to the vet. And they're stoic creatures, so you don't always know what's wrong with them. So that's, in my opinion, who I'm just a, cat show host person. That's why I think pet parents should get their cats, health checked out. But you're the scientist. So why is it important for pet parents to check their cat's health, especially before it becomes a big deal? Eventually those stoic creatures, as much as they want to hide their pain, eventually, of course, unfortunately, it comes out. And by then it's usually too late.
Right. Yeah. So, we're looking at what's going on in the gut, and really about 70% of the immune system is within the gut. The gut is where, things from the outside are going to interact with the inside. So technically the gut is considered outside the body, even though it feels like it's inside. It hasn't entered the body yet. It's still in the intestine. So there's a lot of immune activity there. And when what does come in connects with the rest of the entire immune system. So it's kind of the starting point. So having a healthy gut generally is going to relate to health overall. We see cats with skin conditions, or sometimes, pets will have mood disorders or vomiting. Sometimes they'll have conditions and do the test and they'll find out, oh, this is what I need to work on, or might be the problem. And sometimes they're just healthy pets as part of just a health check to make sure everything you're doing is working.
It's interesting, as you were talking about this, you said, as far as gut is outside the body, and you're talking about intestines, and I'm thinking, wait, that's inside the body, isn't it? Inside. But I know what you mean.
It hasn't been accepted and absorbed.
Yeah, it's food. It hasn't gone into the bloodstream and all of that. And I get what you're saying. Testing cats. Well, I'm going to talk about my experience later. Okay. And it's interesting how you mentioned moods and stuff, because that was my tester, the moody one. but we'll get to her later. Let's talk about the kind of tests you have. Now, we're a cat show, but a lot of our cat folks out there have dogs too. So I know you have dog tests as well. And for those that are listening and think, we're getting too producty here, this is all about your cat's health. And it's important, to check your cat's health. And these tests, what I love about them, Betsy, is that you can do them at home, because some of our cats are impossible to take. I mean, you should go to the vet. We could do a whole show on getting your cat into the crate to get to the vet, but we could do probably a week of shows of how to do that. But cats can be a challenge. So that's why at-home testing is just so important. What are the tests that you recommend or that you have for your cats?
Yeah, so for cats, we have 2 pairs of tests. We have one called inflammation and immunity, and then one called leaky gut. So what we're looking at with the inflammation and immunity, we're looking at 2 markers. One is called calprotectin, and one is secretory IgA. So calprotectin identifies intestinal immune reaction and inflammation. So they've done studies where they've looked at calprotectin within the stool, and then they've actually gone in with a scope and looked at the gut lining, and they correlate. So if the calprotectin is very high, there's a lot of gut inflammation. The same with if it's very low, it's unlikely that there is gut inflammation there. So it's just a marker that identifies inflammation within the gut. So it can look for things obviously like, bowel disease type of conditions, but it also can look at, it's related to skin conditions. So there's, the gut-brain connection, the gut-skin connection, the gut's connected to a lot of things. And then it is responsive. So whether you're looking at cats, dogs, or people, calprotectin is responsive to changes in foods, to adding anti-inflammatory supplements. If it's super high, sometimes there's recommendations for antibiotics and things, but most people are just going to, change their diet or add some anti-inflammatory supplements. And then the other thing we look at is secretory IgA, and IgA stands for immunoglobulin. There's several immunoglobulins within your immune system. But what that is, it's the first line of defense at the gut lining. Secretory IgA kind of is on your gut lining, like your gut lining, anywhere there's a mucous membrane, secretory IgA is there to guard it. And if it's really high, it means it's reacting to something. And if it's really low, it can mean that their immune system maybe is kind of tired out and you're more likely to see high than low. So with high, you got to figure out what's going on. And with low, you tend to have to build it up. So those together can give you an idea of is there inflammation? Is there immune activation? And then the other one we look at for cats is called leaky gut. And that looks at intestinal permeability. So this is where, a little diagram, I have my fingers all next to each other. So the gut lining are cells that are really close together. And it opens and closes to let nutrients or different things in as it sees fit, as the immune system checks it out and says it can do it. But under certain conditions, that permeability gets kind of lost and the cells move away from each other, and then things can come in that maybe the immune system didn't want to come in, so then it's, called leaky gut, and it is associated with food reactions or skin conditions or things. It can increase your risk for inflammation. So zonulin is the marker that we look at there. Zonulin is when the cells start to separate, zonulin gets released. And then zonulin can be impacted by gluten. So we look at a component of gluten, gliadin. So we're looking at anti-gliadin antibodies. Now in people, when you look at zonulin and look at gluten, you can also look at things like, taking NSAIDs or alcohol or cigarette smoke. Those things can also increase permeability. But if cats are in around secondhand smoke, that can also cause that. So, we're looking for intestinal permeability and reaction to gluten, and then inflammation and immunity. And they kind of give a broad picture.
And what is the broad picture? Because these are very different than the type of tests you would have done, and very different from standard type tests that you would have done at the vet.
No, they are. So vets, just like with people, when you go to the vet, they're going to be looking at, white blood cell, like really broad things that when they're impaired, it's going to be diagnostic. And we're really looking at the other end early before things happen. So it's not necessarily something a vet would think to look at unless they're aware of our testing, really. So like looking at it as a part of your health check. So if your vet doesn't do it, you can look at it yourself, and you can bring the results. When you take it, you can print it as a PDF and bring it to the vet. And we have information online. So we have a testing guide that's fully referenced, so your vet can see, the studies that have worked on this and everything. So, but it's not necessarily those standard checks that you're going to get at your vet.
Okay. And so, for example, pet parent has a cat that has, allergies, or maybe has issues with, who knows, food issues, or like you said, skin issues, or certain things. The vet's not really sure. And it seems like your test would be a better option than trying, the shell game with food. Let's try this food for 2 weeks. Let's try this food for 2 weeks.
No, that would be. And we don't want to replace,
right,
regular vet care. We just want to kind of maybe, speed up some of the things. And if you test your cat and it has a high calprotectant, there are things you could do. And in the research, they'll talk about slightly high, generally changing diet is all you may need to do. Sometimes people just add a topper, like an anti-inflammatory type supplement topper. But if it's much higher, then you would probably want to consider antibiotics or prednisone if it got really high, because it identifies, inflammatory bowel disease at very high levels. And that's not often. Most people are going to be you just need to change food, or they're going to be within normal range. So a lot of people do so much for their cats and their dogs, and you just want to know that all that stuff that you're doing, if you spend a lot of money on pet food, and you want to make sure that is all working for your pet.
Exactly. And then, even though we're cat-based here on Catitude, you have also, some of us cat people have dogs. So what do you have for dogs? You have a couple of tests for dogs on digestion.
Yeah. So the dogs also, you can check inflammation and immune and leaky gut on dogs. And we have another test, digestion and detox, that dogs can do. And we are working on it for cats too. So with dogs, it's just so much easier to get dog poop. You can go to a dog park and get dog poop from people, but, to run the test. But with cats, it's taken us longer to get the test and make sure, because we want to make sure that it doesn't matter if, that some of the litter is stuck to it. And we have to see how long can it, sit in a litter box before we run it, and all those kind of things.
We're going to take a short break, and I'll tell you about my experience. It's one time where it's good that Charlotte misbehaves a lot. So we'll be right back after this break.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Betsy Redmond, and she is the Chief Science Officer at Innovative Pet Lab. So here's my experience. Innovative Pet Lab sent me the test for inflation and immunity, and I did it for Charlotte. And Charlotte is my misunderstood cat. And in a way, I had an advantage because she doesn't like to use the litter box no matter what. I could have 12 litter boxes for her to choose from, and she'll still choose the floor. I think it's because she was adopted. She was feral and adopted from the street. So, or maybe it's her attitude or a combination. I have no idea. So it wasn't that hard in that there was litter involved. It was hard in that you sent me 2 tests. Charlotte destroyed the other one by pooping all over the outside, and that was beyond my scope of cat parent duty. But it is a little challenging to get the poop, that's for sure. And then I put it, in the glass container, mailed it out. It's great that everything is included, even the plastic gloves, so you don't have to get poop on you, which is very thoughtful of Innovative Pet Labs. And we did the inflation and immunity test. And she's a 7-year-old mutt from the street. I have no idea. She and her mom came one day with the house, and Charlotte never left. Her test came back great on her calprotectin. Am I pronouncing?
Calprotectin. Mm-hmm.
Calprotectin. She had 0, so normal.
Yes, that's no inflammation. So calprotectin is just identifying white blood cell or neutrophils in the gut lining. So she didn't have any.
That's good. I mean, she does have sensitivity sometimes, and I think that's more of an emotional cause where she'll scratch herself a little bit, but she's very sensitive and very, as I said, misunderstood. That's her personality.
Yeah. And then so calprotectin can identify if there's inflammation, how much inflammation, and if it's there, you can follow it if you do treatment. So
it does what it does. It's not going to come up with, this is why her mood is so lousy. It's not, an analyst type of test, meaning, I guess I should say a therapeutical type of test. But I was glad to know that she was within the normal range. And her secretary IgA.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't mispronounce that. Her results were 183.3, which was normal.
Yeah, so that means you want to have some response to stuff. Secretory IgA is the first line of defense at the gut lining. So if something comes along and your gut doesn't like it, your immune system doesn't like it, it responds. So it seems to be like she wasn't responding to anything. So that's good. So you're doing all the right things.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. If I could change her mood, but that would be another, I don't know what test. You know how cats are. Cats, yes. They are who they are, just like people. They have their personalities. Well, all animals are like that. Just cats, I think you can identify their moodiness a little bit more than maybe others. I think she likes men better anyway, so sorry. I mean, it's like that with some of them.
Yeah, she probably likes you better than she's letting on.
I could hope. If I could only hope, I also think that Innovative Pet Lab is a great idea for people that have indoor-outdoor cats. They're not as popular in my area, but I know in certain parts of the country, it's quite popular. And we're talking about the U.S., but we're heard international. Is it Innovative Pet Lab international?
Not yet. We are working on it. So, and I also wanted to note that if your listeners want to try it, they can use the code HEALTHYPET and get 30% off.
Okay. And we'll mention that at the end too.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking that if you have an indoor-outdoor cat, they have more chances of picking up bacteria that you're not aware of.
Yeah. I mean, so we're looking more at immune system. They would have more opportunity because, who knows what's out there in the world. So there are tests, and I don't know actually if you can get those that look at, actually gut bacteria, and that tells you something. But we're looking at physiologic function, is there inflammation? Not are there bacteria that are associated with inflammation? We're looking to see, is there actually inflammation there? Is there a leaky gut? How's the permeability?
Okay, that makes sense. And I shared my experience. Tell us how a pet parent would go about getting their test from Innovative Pet Lab and what they would need to do and the whole process.
Yeah, you just go onto our website, innovativepetLab.com, and you click to buy a test, and we will send you a box with everything you need. It will have the glove. It has a little tube that you put the poop in, and it actually has a little spork on the end of it and a wooden stick. So some people like the wooden stick. Some people like to just use the glove. Some people like the spork. So we have all the options in there. So the first thing you're going to do, which I always forget, is when you get the box, it has a number in it and you need to register the kit. And so once you register the kit, then we'll know when we get the sample whose it is. So you register your kit and then you collect your sample. You just put it in the little container and then you put it in a bag. You put it in the box and then put it in the mailbox. So when we were developing the test, like we're a very small company. We're predominantly women owned. We were trying to figure out how do we return this test? And we could never make it to like FedEx or any place else. And we're like, let's have it at our mailbox because nobody has time. We're starting this company and we can't even find the time to get a package shipped. So it's right at your mailbox. You put it in your mail. It comes to us. We'll run the test and then the results are online. And so you can print them out and take them to your vet, and it'll tell you, what the marker was and then where it fell, if it was normal or borderline or high or low. And we have a lot of information there that can help, like a lot of interpretive guides and things that can help you make changes. We also have a lot of educational stuff.
This has been so informative. What do you see for the future for Innovative Pet Lab as far as what other tests would you like to see available to pet parents that they can do at home?
We're open for suggestions. We also, we're looking at maybe doing things for more allergies, like maybe you could see, is allergy your problem? Maybe some food stuff, different types of gut inflammation. So we want to see a lot of this stuff. Like we had all worked at labs before and we wanted to test our cats and dogs, but we didn't have a reference range for cats and dogs. So that's how we kind of started the company. Like we wanted to take care of our own pets. So yeah, we're looking for new things all the time.
I love the idea of allergies because I get a lot of comments from readers, emails, and sometimes it shows different comments. And allergies are tricky. And I just have to mention Pet Life Radio, this, and they say, oh, my cat had, and I'm not a veterinarian. I pick great guests. And so they're able to, explain all this. But it seems that like allergies, that's a big one.
Yeah. And it would be nice to know, like, is this an allergy problem or is this something else? Because as you'd mentioned, like going through all those different types of proteins and different foods, it can be time consuming.
Right. And a lot of times you'll hear, at the vet, your veterinarians are amazing. They do so much for our pets, but there's also, there's this test. And sometimes it's overwhelming because to quote one of my favorite vets, Dr. Jeff Werber, sometimes they see the forest before the trees. So you're overwhelmed with what to try. So I don't know how you could develop a basic allergy test, or maybe it could be for certain types of things. But some animals only have allergy issues at home. Some only have it seasonally, like people.
Yeah. No, it's very tricky. And sometimes there's a food allergy and sometimes there's a sensitivity and, so it's hard.
Well, I'm putting that out there for you.
Okay. Yeah. We're constantly researching and looking. We like to translate things that have translational science. Like we don't want to wait 10 years from when something's discovered to go to a textbook, to go to a vet school. We want to get it out there as soon as we know it's good.
Gotta love that. Betsy, I want to thank you so much for coming on Catitude, and you have a promo code for our listeners. So thank you so much. Do you want to share that? And also, where can they find the tests that are at Innovative Pet Lab?
Yeah, so we're at innovativepetLab.com, and the promo code is HealthyPet, and that'll give you 30% off.
Oh, and thank you so much for all you do. I love that it's a woman-owned. Is it primarily woman-owned?
It's primarily woman-owned.
All right, so we let
minority, women, and military spouses. So those kind of make up our group.
Thank you.
And
Thank
pet
you
lovers.
for service to the country. And thank you for all you do to keep our pets healthy. And thank you so much for the promo code Healthy Pet. That's Healthy Pet, and it's for 30% off. So don't wait. Take a look. It's Innovative Pet Lab. Betsy, I want to thank you so much for coming on Best Bets for Pets.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Please take a look at Innovative Pet Lab. Their site is so informative. There are so many great at-home tests that can really save you peace of mind if you have, a cat or a dog that is going through any kind of, minor health issues. Anything major, of course, make sure you go to your vet. So please take a look at Innovative Pet Labs. And of course, with the code Healthy Pet, you'll save 30%. So please take advantage of that. And of course, my cat crew, Dennis, Charlotte, Molly, thank you. But especially thank you to Charlotte, because this time when you pooped on the floor, you were a help, not an annoyance. So I did say she was my misunderstood kitty. So thank you, Charlotte. Thanks. And I'm so happy your health is good. So thank you, Innovative Pet Lab. I'd also like to thank everyone listening to Best Bets for Pets. And especially a great thank you to my producer, Mark Winter, for making me and my guests sound amazing. Remember, keep listening. You never know what we'll have next on Best Bets for Pets.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.